As a creative writer myself, I find it very refreshing that going back to this, that you were just like, no, I'm not going to change my story. You can keep your money.
I know. I mean, that was a moment of, what the hell are you doing? Like, I was outside myself, like, what? Like, I couldn't believe I did that, but it worked out. Oftentimes it does not. And things, just, it was a really big gamble, but this meant everything to me, this story.
Hi, welcome back to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Mary is my guest co-host. Hi, Mary.
Hello, everyone.
So we might sound a little different because this is our first ever live podcast of the literary arts podcast, the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Yes, those are actual people. Okay. So I'm so happy that Mary is guest co-hosting. We are here at the lovely Pen and Brush Art Gallery in Chelsea, Manhattan, and we are joined with such an exciting guest for the Halloween season. Her name is Tonya Hurley. So I'm going to have Mary begin introducing Tonya, and then I'll dig right into why we're here today with you, Tonya. So here's Mary.
All right, so for those of you who don't know who Tonya is a New York Times best-selling author. She was nominated for the prestigious Rockefeller Foundation Award in Film and made the semifinals of the Sundance Institute Writers Lab. She studied writing, music, and filmmaking at the University of Pittsburgh, screenwriting at New York University, and stop-motion animation at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. Now, Andrew, can you explain to our lovely listeners why we're here today?
I would be delighted, Mary. So we are here today for the Halloween season. We have, if you're watching our film version, we have the lovely Ghost Girl series. So Tonya's Ghost Girl series is a New York Times best-selling series. The first novel, Ghost Girl, was released in 2008. Her sequel, Ghost Girl Homecoming, was released in 2009. Both have become international bestsellers. They are available in over 22 languages, yes, 22 around the world. So congratulations, Tonya. Yes. And the third book in the series is called Ghost Girl Loves It, which was released in July 2010. And now we have to hear from you, Tonya. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, so right away, we are a literary arts podcast. So Mary and I thought, okay, Tonya, we need to know. There is so many literary allusions you have in your first novel, Ghost Girl. You have Hawthorne Hall with Nathaniel Hawthorne. You have Edgar Allan Poe quotes. You have just so much poetry that even opens up. I remember there's a moment with Annabelle Lee with Poe. So what was it about the 19th century and even opening up with Oscar Wilde and his quote from The Picture of Dorian Gray? Why the 19th century in Gothic literature?
Well, I mean, this is kind of like a Gothic horror romance. And so it just fit with it. And also it's what I grew up reading. I related to those specific authors and their sensibility, and they write with such passion and desperation. And it really fits the high school kind of theme because, teenagers are very dramatic. It's like, if he doesn't call me, I'll die. Or if you don't, it's life or death all the time, no matter what. So that's the kind of aesthetic. My nephew Oscar would call it darkcore. That these books are.
I was just gonna say to any of you listeners out there thinking I wasn't dramatic as a teenager, you're lying. We know you're lying.
We were teenagers.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know too. So a little spoiler, but if you read Ghost Girl, you get the death scene right away. So I don't think it's a spoiler when you have a hit series called Ghost Girl.
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be some life and death interplay. So I love, Mary has been reenacting. We have some gummy bears here at the party. And she's been trying to reenact Charlotte's gummy bear death scene.
Excited for this.
Yeah, well, I think she's still alive, because she's.
Live? Are you gonna do it live?
I don't know, maybe as a bonus, you should have her reenact so you can judge her death
You
scene.
subscribe to the.
Yeah, to the podcast.
You get to see that.
Yeah, you can watch Mary reenact his death scene. But, so like, where did the just origin of Ghost Girl come from? Like, I really want to play with life and death and that liminal in between space.
Yeah, I mean. I was just thinking, I was in my chair in my living room and I was thinking like, what is death? What I think about this every day, and which is another reason why I like the authors that you just mentioned. But what if, a girl died and still tried to have that yearning inside of her that didn't die, like the wanting to fit in, the wanting love, that wanting, that desire as a teen, and everything's so strong when you're a teen. So I thought, what if that died with that stayed alive, that part, and that's really what it all came down to. And being a ghost, we all, most of us feel like ghosts in high school. We feel invisible, we want to be seen, and that's what this is about. It's about feeling invisible and not fitting in, and really having that desire to.
Yeah.
What's interesting, like, about that, obviously, we have this high school student, and it's obviously hard to think about a young person dying, but I feel like the way that you tell this story puts sort of positive spin on it.
It's
Sort of
I
positive.
think, well, when I wrote it, there was some backlash about, that I was advocating suicide or something, and it wasn't. I mean, my character, Charlotte, she's a choker in life. She doesn't go for what she wants. And so that's why the book she chokes. And I picked a little gummy bear because I was like, what is the cutest little piece of candy that I can make a murderer? Ruin the whole reputation of the candy. So
A lot of the conversations between Andrew and I have been, what did the gummy bear do to Tonya that had to make it
it's
be
too
the
cute.
thing?
It's too cute. There are no black gummy bears, no goth gummy bears.
That is true. Now, did it feel like voyeuristic at all, writing these scenes where Charlotte's like walking amongst her classmates as a ghost?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the whole idea of, that you can kind of be a fly on the wall and see what these popular kids are really doing and what they're really thinking. And Petula, the most popular girl at school, has her insecurities and she suffers in her own way through high school. And I just wanted to show those different POVs. And I thought, what better way than have her, be a ghost to listen in on these things. And, it's both a blessing and a curse, to kind of be that voyeur. You can't be part of it, you're still longing to be part of it. So
Yeah, and I think to follow up with what Mary and you are reflecting on, that's something that fascinated me, is your first book came out in 2009, right? 2008.
Yeah.
So that's what, more than 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Like, we're almost going on to 15.
Yeah.
And there's themes that you dig into that are so interesting because it takes place in a high school, but there's themes of not belonging, like you said, the bullying. There's also like the blossoming of love, of pubescence and adolescence, and all these existential questions that Charlotte goes through. So I kind of wondered, how did you balance this very mature topic and those high school themes with your audience, who I'm assuming is mostly high schoolers, even middle schoolers, and that young adult audience?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are just universal themes. I think kids, adults, I mean, you don't grow out of that wanting to make your mark, wanting to be seen, wanting to succeed, as an adult, wanting to find love. I mean, you're starting in middle school, high school, to really kind of dip your toe in the water, the love river. That's trademarked, by the way.
Yeah, no author out there is stealing that.
It is,
Or yeah, or Tonya.
Love River.
Love her.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't think you'd ever grow out of those. I really don't. So this book is for kids as well as adults. I think.
Yeah.
And I do love, again, like this whole, like, you have these high school students where they're at a point in their life where they are starting to understand the world around them in a different way that they have never realized before. And to put something so intense as death intermixed with it, I think is just so important, because again, it is, I mean, how many adults out there are like terrified of dying?
Yeah, I mean, that's my MO.
Almost every.
That's why I write every single book in my Blessed series, the Ghost Girl series is about death. And these books really took off in Mexico because of their idea of death. And it's so different from ours. And when I was shopping this here, I'm taking it around to different, it was a feature film script first that I wrote, and Robert De Niro's company, Tribeca, optioned it. And Bob Weinstein, the Weinsteins, Bob, the brother of the perpetrator, he said, "Oh, I love this script. I love it. You know, this is great. The tone is perfect, everything. But, you know, I have one small change." And I was like, "Okay, you know, what's that? I'll change it." And he was like, "She can't die." And I was like, "Okay, well, she dies really at the beginning of the book, and that's the whole point of the book. So I don't know what you love about it, but that's the story." So,
Well, what did he reveal how he would have seen that art then?
just make this small change and I'll take it.
That's not a small change.
Yeah, you know, and I was so like desperate at that time and poor in New York City, and I was like, I'm not gonna take the money. I'm not gonna change the story. And so I never written a book before, and I said, you know, I'm gonna try to do this the way I want to do it. And
Yeah, well, no offense.
10 years later.
No offense to, Mr. De Niro, but I'm glad that you held your conviction.
Yeah, no, De Niro was all on board with the death. It was,
Oh.
Weinstein.
Oh, okay. Well, so sorry.
Shout out to Bob.
Mr. De Niro, you're okay. Bob's okay.
He's good, yeah.
Yeah, he's good. Well, and I was curious because if you don't know, the audiobooks are so cinematic in a way that you have Parker Posey narrating, and it's just so beautifully done. There's music that was made for Ghost Girl for the audiobook, which never happens.
Yeah.
And all of these pauses of just instrumental, handcrafted music, of compositions. So how did Parker Posey get involved? Was it because of the film option? Like, was Parker considered?
No, well, I've always been a fan of hers. And we became very good friends after the audiobook. She's like my sister. And I just thought her voice and tone were perfect to capture, this character. And I was like, oh, what if, I want someone that can really do this. And I'm a very cinematic person. I've studied film and the Ghost Girl book trailers. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're stop motion, and they're Entertainment Weekly premiered them. They're, I really kind of enjoy every aspect of this whole industry. And Vince Clark is my brother-in-law, and he did the music, so very lucky.
Well, please tell Vince it is so beautifully done.
Thanks.
Is there, can we be so bold? Because I'm sure it's on Mary's mind too. Has there been any more buzz about Ghost Girl being optioned, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's currently optioned now.
Oh, great.
And I'm rewriting.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm rewriting the script now. I have a 2-week deadline, so.
Oh, okay, so it's a lot.
94. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That is so intense. I also just want to say, from like, as a creative writer myself, I find it very refreshing that going back to this, that you were just like, no, I'm not gonna change my story. You can keep your money.
I know, but I mean, that was a moment of what the hell are you doing? Like, I was outside myself, like, what? Like, I couldn't believe I did that, but it worked out. Oftentimes it does not, and things, just, it was a really big gamble, but this meant everything to me, this story. There are things I compromise on every day, I would not compromise on this.
Yeah. And I think that's just important for any writer, creative out there to know that, like, when you have your passion project, do not let anyone tell you that you have to change it to conform to them.
Yeah, no one's gonna believe in it unless you believe in it yourself. And that's the first step, believing in it, because then you can, you can sway people to also believe.
Yeah. To quote Khloe Kardashian, if someone says no, you're asking the wrong person. So.
This is a literary podcast. I've proven that. It's great Khloe Kardashian.
Yeah, I think we might have some divided opinions out there, but you also listen to our pop culture episodes where we really dig into hot button
My
issues.
daughter Isabel's like,
But something that I just love, like what Mary said, your conviction, but also since it has this lasting series, how do audiences now reflect on first encountering your series? Especially, I mean, 2008, I'm hearing Parker read themes such as LGBTQ issues, and I'm like, wait, this isn't 2022. Like, I had to keep reminding myself that Ghost Girl had just come out. So you were ahead of the curve, definitely, with the themes that you dug into. So I want to thank you for that, Tonya. And like, how have your early readers responded now? Since they might not be my age, which is 30.
I was very lucky to have some, I toured Spain, I toured Mexico, I toured Colombia, I toured, here a lot, and to meet these kids that kind of felt like they were seen for the first time reading the books and relating to the characters that they related to, and they felt seen, and that was the whole point of me writing this, because that was my hope that someone, but I get a lot of letters about, kids were suicidal, or kids were, couldn't come out and couldn't be themselves. And I cry because they're very moving, and I didn't expect them to, land that way. But it's really something. And now, I mean, the readers, their kids are like with Ghost Girl t-shirts and stuff. I mean, their kids are now picking up the books and relating to them, and that's something, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So going back to the fact that this book came out in 2008 and not today, and how progressive it is, I will say there's one moment, there's one song that totally puts this book in 2008, and that is the incredible Evanescence.
Yes.
Which I loved. And like, how did you specifically process like the lyrics from that song and decided to put that needed to be in this book?
Oh, what's the song?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Bring Me to Life.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, it just summed up kind of what the book was about. And my husband is a music supervisor, Michael Pagnotta, and he went to these different bands and got permission, which was a whole big extra step that you don't take with books, really, or publishers don't want you to take. And so, I mean, Amy Lee is, she was perfect for this. Her sensibility is, it's very Ghost Girl, I think.
Yeah, well, and if we may, just a little snippet. This is the section in Ghost Girl from Bring Me to Life. It's, how can you see into my eyes like open doors, leading you down into my core where I've become so numb. Without a soul, my spirit sleeping somewhere cold. I mean, when I heard Parker read that, and well, Parker as the character is Charlotte, she's acting. But it is really moving to hear it away from the music. I mean, the music is moving, but it's different. It is poetry.
She's a poet. And Amy Lee's a poet, and A lot of the lyrics that I picked do read as poetry, and they're things that kept me going through high school. The Cure and Depeche Mode and people I've worked with, they gave me their lyrics for free, thank God, because they wouldn't be in the book. Yeah, I mean, these are things that out of context, out of music context, really hit home, and they really do. So I thought it'd be interesting to put them in as, next to Poe. Robert Smith's lyrics next to Edgar Allan Poe. I think they stand up.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, Tanya, is like without knowing that it's Bring Me to Life, like knowing the year the song came out, like Mary said, we have a really, with the music, have that timestamp. But when you're having it with Poe or with Hawthorne or like reflecting on the lyrics that way, it kind of is out of time. And I thought that that is a quality though throughout your whole book is it's kind of hard to even place Ghost Girl's chronological period. Like it's not like, oh, this is 2008
Yeah.
and I know because of XYZ.
That's nice for you to say. I appreciate that. I set out to write a timeless book, and that's why I use lyrics and, poems from throughout time instead of just one kind of period. So, and it's turned a lot of kids on to Poe and to and that was like, oh, that was a dream of mine. If I could get a kid to pick up, what some of these authors, or even in music, there's a lot of Cure fans now, and that meant a lot to me because I love music and I love literature.
Yeah.
I want to get into your character
Yes.
creation a little bit. Who was the most fun for you to create? And who, when you were writing this, just for like, why did I even create this character? I hate them now. Why do I even include them?
Yeah.
Hi, it's Mary from True Crime and Academia.
If you're like me, you love personalized merch and you love shopping local. So here is one of my favorite local vendors to buy from. It's Mandy Made It. That's Mandee, Made It. My friend Mandy makes the most incredible personalized crochet goods and decor for your home. Spooky season is coming up. She has some of the coolest Halloween designs. So go follow her on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Mandy Made It. Again, that's Mandee, Made It. And place your order with her today.
And now, a message from the Gay and Lesbian Review.
Hello, listeners. This is Stephen Hemrick, the publisher of the GNLR, here with a special offer just for you. For those of you who aren't familiar with the GNLR, let me provide a little background. The GLR is a bi-monthly magazine of history, culture, and politics that publishes essays in a wide range of disciplines, as well as a slew of reviews of books, plays, and movies, and a number of special features such as artists' profiles and the popular art memo column. Each issue brings you consistently intelligent, lively, thought-provoking articles focused on a unifying theme and brings together the leading minds on the topic. You won't find a lot about the latest dating fads or fashion trends, though you might find articles about online dating as a social phenomenon or the gay influence on 20th century fashion. For example, the theme of the current issue is Queens and Kings, and it features an article by Andrew Holleran about Truman Capote's relationships with glamorous women, the women he called his swans. Now for the special offer. When you subscribe, you'll receive a free copy with any print or digital subscription. That's 7 issues instead of 6. Visit glreview.org. That's glreview.org. Click subscribe and enter promo code ITBR for your free issue. And as an added bonus, you'll receive online access to all archived issues of the magazine.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Well, I created Charlotte and Scarlet because I feel like those are the two halves of me. I was like in a punk band in high school, and I, had a mohawk, and I was a drummer, and I wore combat boots, and my hair was purple, but then I didn't feel seen. At the same time, I didn't feel like I fit in. I felt, even though I had tons of friends, and it was always, my social calendar was more important than my studies. I didn't feel I didn't feel understood. And those are probably my two favorite characters. I love Piccolo Pam. I just think she's, I love her. In this movie script, I'm just leaving her as is because she's probably my favorite. She's creepy, and I just love her when she breathes. The piccolo sound comes in and out. I think the Wendy's were most fun because they're just so dumb. And you could just have a lot of fun with them. And I took, my experience in high school, girls that were like that and thought that they were the shit and were not. And they looked like idiots, especially after high school, looking back, they look like idiots. Those were the most fun, I think, the Wendy's. And Prue was probably the one that I was like, oh god, she's cool.
Now, Piccolo Pam, I really enjoyed her because she also, even though she's very as a matter of fact with her delivery of things, there's something about her that's extremely empathetic to Charlotte and Charlotte's situation. Specifically after Charlotte dies and she's watching this memorial about to happen, kids are getting on buses to go to it, and she's freaking out and just very are you done now?
Yeah.
And then once Charlotte's like, no, she's like, all right, take your time. It's like that moment stopped me for a second because could went either way.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you space. Yeah, I'm gonna give you your space there. She is based on my best friend in high school, and still to this day, my friend Deborah. Gives the tough love, and she doesn't, I want her to oh no, help me, and get involved in all my drama, but she won't. He's like, stop it. You're an adult. You're a parent. She's Piccolo Pam is kind of on that way. She's someone you want with you on your journey. She's not gonna bullshit you, and she's smart, and she's also, yes, empathetic to some extent. But she's who I would want as a guide.
Oh, good. I warned Mary about cursing, but it's actually Tonya who cursed.
Oh, my.
Oh, no, you're allowed to curse. I'm just we have to be careful, Mary. We have to make a good impression for Tonya. So I'm glad we can now open up. I don't know. We curse on this podcast. Now let the expletives fly. Children, please don't. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But, I think that actually kind of this humorous moment brings me into what I love when I talk to young adult literature or middle grade writers is if you saw, did you always know Ghost Girl was going to be something more for young adults, or did you see it as also an adult fiction series? How that would have differed?
Yeah, like I said, there are universal themes that could have been adult. And I have a lot of adult readers. But I think we all are traumatized by high school to some extent and suffer from PTSD. But it was always like a high school environment for me because I think a lot of us are, traumatized, like I said. And it's the worst of times, it's the best of times. high school, really, and people saying these are the best years of your life and everything else. No, they are not.
Liars.
Yeah, that's right, lie. So,
Yeah, for me, middle school years were the ones that, those were growing pains.
yeah.
But, right, and then you find your authentic voice, or that was how it was for me in high school. I found, okay, this is who Andrew Rimby is, and I'm going to be my literary passionate self. And then like looking back now, like I came out when I was 15 and now I'm 30, so it's been half of my life. And so that's why it really resonated with me, like how LGBTQ themes feature in your series, just how much that meant for a high schooler reading your series, you know, who was coming out, like seeing myself in that journey. So that's why you've done so much work to empower young adults, right?
Wow, that's very kind of you to say. I appreciate that so much.
Well, it's true. It's true. It's all true. Well, I think as we're, you know, winding down on Ghost Girl, I'm just curious, how has it made you reflect on the process of death, of coming to terms? I know it's a big question.
That's a good one. I think just writing about it was cathartic for me. I write about it in every single book I have. You know, I write. Death is, you know, part of life. We're all going to experience it. We don't know what happens. We don't. We can believe that we do, but we do not. And it's just for the imagination, it's just a vast landscape of anything can happen, anything can be true, anything goes. And that's probably why I also choose it as a topic a lot. And I've been obsessed with it since I was a little kid. I just have, just the whole kind of, nowadays, there's a whole movement towards death positivity, and I'm writing a book now called Miss Morning that deals with that. But when I was young, it was terrifying. It was taboo to talk about it. You couldn't, you know, it was a terrifying thing. Like, you know, they got bit by a zombie, and, you know, you can't touch them, you can't go around them, you can't, you know, they're just, don't talk about them, don't do anything. So that's another reason why I wanted to write about it. I wanted to open up the topic to kids, teens, talk about it. You know, we all experience it. Why can't we have an open forum and discuss it? You know, it takes the fear away. Most of the fear, if you're open about it, it is a part of life. It's happening to all of us. Spoiler alert, we all have.
That's the part we're gonna have to censor out, is that, not the person, but, you know. And I'm just curious, right, I think so much, we're now, especially with Halloween, I was even saying to Dawn, shout out to Dawn, who's actually in the audience, the director of Red and Brush. So, you know, usually I'm saying that on a Zoom screen, but she's actually here. So I was saying to Dawn and to Mary, like the pandemic, even with Halloween activities, I'm like, wait, we're back. Like, it's been so long to actually celebrate in person. And there's so much processing that has to happen, I think, with all of us, with communicating with people.
Yeah, we have to relearn all our social.
Exactly, relearning. And we're like, oh, that's what that felt like, that experience. Like,
these are pants. You know?
yeah. Mary's not in her pajamas. But, you know, how has Ghost Girl even taken on different intonations and meanings because of the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the pandemic was so isolating and we all felt alone. And so how do you get noticed, and how do you connect with people on a computer screen? And we did learn how to do that to some extent. I mean, we did, but you know, it was difficult. It was hard. And I think that's also, you know, a relatable topic for the book. I mean, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so I don't know, Mary, is there anything jumping out at you right away? Or should we start to turn? Yes, go. Yeah.
It's one little thing, it might be a spoiler, but who knows. There's a scene, so it's literally right after Charlotte chokes to death. And she's called down to 1313. And immediately as I'm reading it, all I'm seeing is the scene in Beetlejuice where they have to go.
Yeah.
Was that any
Secondary.
part of like inspiration there or?
Yeah, I just took that kind of idea and made it teen friendly, and her whole death scene was based on, you know, Stevie Smith, not waving but drowning kind of thing, where her hand is there and Damon's like thinking that she's waving and she's dying, and yeah. It was, yeah, I'm a huge Tim Burton fan. I mean, I studied stop motion, and I'm a goth.
I literally let out a little chuckle because I was like, that was all I could see. It was
Yeah.
the little beauty
Yeah.
with the clipboard.
Yeah.
It's shut, like, leave me alone.
Yeah, Miss Argentina.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Queen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we only have a few months to see the Broadway musical. If anyone wants to see Beetlejuice, I want to
My daughters don't make me go.
Really? Okay, well, good for your daughter, because I heard it's such a fun time. I need to
It
take
is.
my
You have to
parents.
see it before it closes.
Yeah, my like mom is obsessed.
Yeah.
But I'll take mom, I'll take you, Kathy. Okay. Well, so you know, you said you were at work. I know you've been at work on a lot of other books, another series. So can you open up a little more about, you know, maybe what happened after Ghost Girl? Like, did Ghost Girl's themes lead to your next series, which?
Yes, yeah, oddly enough, it did. I was on book tour, and I like to visit churches. I love the architecture, I love the gothicness of church, I love the iconography, the art, and it just got me to thinking about martyrs, and so my trilogy, The Blessed, are about 3, you know, martyrs, and how people talk about martyrs as these passive kind of figures that are so devoted and so, you know, but I said, you know, how badass is a martyr for like dying for what they believe in, no
Yeah.
matter what it is. I mean, so I was like, I'm taking these 3, Cecilia, Agnes, and Lucy, and I'm taking them into Brooklyn, and they're gonna be badass. And so that's what I did. That's The Blessed.
That's what Brooklyn is for. It's for that like counterculture badass type of attitude.
Quentin Tarantino wrote the Bible.
Yeah.
Wrote Martyr Story. Yeah.
If Quentin Tarantino wrote the Bible, I definitely would have read it.
Yeah, that's very true. I think you should pitch that to Quentin Tarantino to like direct like the Old Testament.
I would love that. Of course. Yeah.
Quentin, if you're listening. So if it's okay with you, Tonya, I'd like to take some questions from the audience. Okay. So if anyone has a question, you can come up. Well, actually, we can walk up to you with the mic. Okay.
But my question actually is, you had mentioned the term death core earlier.
Mhm.
I love that term. I've never heard it before, but do you think then, going into sort of this, like, is that all the genre that you really work with is death core, or?
Well, you know, I mean, I started out, I created as a creative director of the Olsen twin brand. So I was dying to be myself in something, you know, and dying to tell the stories I wanted to tell. So it was like, you know, getting out of school at the end of the day and running and screaming and being free kind of thing. So I just, it's a topic I really enjoy. I don't always write about it. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Maybe I do. Yeah, in different ways though.
Well, wait, and you just brought up something that I know Mary and I were going to bring up, which is you were what for the Olsen twins?
Well, I created all their video games and their content and their TV show and shows, and
Were you in charge of double Toil and Trouble?
I wasn't in charge of it.
Oh, yeah, that was like my favorite with that witch, and that movie is so queer nostalgic. I loved that movie.
Yeah, they were great.
And like, what was when they had the slumber party and they put everything on a pizza? This is like real deep dive. Mary remembers this. Okay.
That's a deep dive.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, and then they have like the the maze they went through or
Yeah,
a
I mean,
labyrinth.
like,
Yeah.
the part working with them, I enjoyed is empowering girls and having you feel like these two girls, they were real. They weren't Mickey Mouse. They weren't characters. They were real girls that you would want at your slumber party. And so that's why I wrote their logo, real books for real girls, real fashion for real girls. Because they were like your best friend. You want twin best friends, you know, and I'm a twin. So.
Oh,
Any other questions?
yeah.
Hi, it's Dawn Bellicott from the Pen and Brush.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a question, but I couldn't help but think of Louisa May Alcott and Little Women when you were talking about your experience with the Weinstein brother.
Mhm.
You know, and that moment that we hear about this so much, like the woman who stood up for her story.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know, having read Ghost Girl and that existential truth that powers the whole damn thing.
Mhm.
And here we have a man who is asking you
Yeah.
to trade it up.
Yeah.
And you did not,
Yes.
you know, just like those moments that we see so well in the Greta Garwig recent
Mhm. Right.
version of Little Women.
Yeah.
Where she's like, I believe I love to own my own book.
Right,
And I
exactly.
would not like to sell them all into marriage and changing their
Right.
name.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, not to bash Mary's Kardashian reference, but what came to my mind, or maybe it's a lot big too. But Louisa May Alcott, you know, like that power of a woman saying, no, this is my voice and this is my story. And you're not gonna change it, kind of came to my mind that you share that in common, which is amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was like, oh, what did I just do when I walked
Yeah.
out of there? Like, you're just like devastated. I could have had a film maybe, and
Mm.
you know, and then I could just go back to obscurity and no one would know the story. But it wasn't the story I wanted to tell. So.
And that's the thing, like one wonders how many women caved.
Yeah,
Story
yeah,
we lost yet again.
that's exactly right. Yes. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. That it?
Really. Do we have any Tanya's family who wants to ask questions? Especially, I'm just curious, like as a family member, how the series.
Hi, I'm Tom Michael. I think Tanya knows me. I should know the answer to this question, but I actually don't. So I'm curious to see what you'll say. We were saying that death is a very serious topic, and that's really what folks wrote about, right? Dying in the afterlife, and it's also a romance because people looking for love. But there's also a lot of humor in it. And you know, I remember you were talking to me about it as you were even writing it, how important it was that you kind of leaven the darker moments, not just because it was going to be read by younger kids, but I just was wondering from your point of view, how important is humor in the entire book?
Great question. I was like giving you the eye, like, don't ask me something I don't know. Yeah, I just, dark humor is to me like the end all be all. I'm a huge Heathers fan. I'm a huge, you know, Beetlejuice fan, and all that stuff. John Hughes films are, you know, what I grew up on, and I yeah, a lot of my friends, like Parker is a comedic actress. A lot of my friends are, you know, comedians, and I just humor was a very important part, not just because I wanted to lighten, you know, the load, but humor helps. It's like the medicine that helps. You know, it's like it's the sugar, spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down. I think.
Yeah.
And if everyone kind of, you know, sees a little humor in situations, it kind of can save you sometimes.
Very, very, that resonates deeply, Tanya. Well, and if there are no more audience, oh, there's an audience question. Okay. Yeah, this is what I love about the live, like in-person podcast. Here, wait, I think we can go. Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Oh, Tanya's, that's your daughter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Tanya's daughter.
Izzy. The Halloween queen.
Which one of your characters,
had the most PTSD.
Oh.
Whoa, wow. My kid is very into psychological issues. I don't know. I mean, probably Charlotte, the main character. No, I don't know. I mean, maybe, but I would think Charlotte because she died so in school and everything was going so well for her the first day of school and she was feeling good and ready to conquer the school year in a different way and had confidence and then it all just went in a big way. Yeah.
Thanks, Kim. Well, I know Mary and I, we're like, we want this out as a film, knowing you're on a deadline, which, well, when this episode comes out, I think it has been submitted. So let's all, send good energy, spooky, ghoulish energy to Ghost Girl. Can't wait to see who gets chosen as Charlotte. That'll be an interesting choice. I'm excited. Do you have any?
I do, but I don't know if I should.
Well, if it's yours.
Well, it's your, yeah, it's your decision. Yeah, share it with all of us.
I think
Yes.
Olivia Rodrigo would probably
Ooh,
write some songs and be a good Charlotte.
yeah.
If it happens soon enough, she's 19, I think, so. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that can work. Yeah, you could go into your 20s for high school. I mean, look at the Grease
I mean,
Fest.
and I would also really love, aside from Olivia's, to have, a Mexican actress, Latina, because they really did embrace this book and it became what it was because of them. And I really love touring Mexico every chance I get. And I love meeting my readers down there and they're so creative and so talented and so enthusiastic that I would love to represent them in Charlotte.
Well, thank you to Tonya. Thank you, Mary, for guest co-hosting. And if you don't know, Mary also hosts True Crime in Academia, which is, has the spooky, but real stories, which makes it haunting in a different register than fiction.
Yeah.
But, thank you, Tonya, for doing this in-person live
Thank you for asking.
podcast.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Yes, this has been wonderful. This is exactly what I think.
Questions.
Well, thank you for receiving the questions and thank you to our audience. You all have been wonderful. It's great to see faces. And everyone out there, please get your hands or your ears on Ghost Girl. As we said, Parker Posey, who Tonya knows, just does such a wonderful job. It is beautiful to listen to Ghost Girl. So yeah, thank you, Tonya.
So much.
And hopefully, happy Halloween. Well, happy
Halloween next year.
Yeah, happy Halloween next year. I like that. Okay, well, thank you, Tonya, and bye to our listeners out there. Thank you. That was very fun. Thank you, Tonya.
Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Very fun. Thank you so much for listening to the Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Welcome to the fall season. The Ivory Tower Boiler Room is a public humanities podcast where we interview writers, scholars, performers, and artists. Episodes air on Mondays. I am Andrew Rimby, the executive director. I'm so happy to welcome my team, Mary DePippi, our chief contributor, Kimberly Dallas, our editor, and an amazing fall group of interns. Thank you to this team. Please follow the Ivory Tower Boiler Room on TikTok and Instagram at Ivory Tower Boiler Room. Easy to remember. Our Twitter is at Ivory Boiler Room. And we have a whole new design for our Patreon. It is called the Ivory Tower Boiler Room Cafe because you're joining us and eavesdropping on our conversations that are unedited videos of all of our Ivory Tower Boiler Room episodes, as if you're eavesdropping in a cafe, overhearing the conversation. Well, talking about overhearing a conversation, hi, Mary.
Hello, Andrew, and hello, everyone. I'm Mary DePippi, the host of True Crime in Academia, a podcast, well, a true crime podcast that is focused mainly on the crimes committed by and to those in the field of academia. Episodes air every Tuesday at noon. You can follow True Crime in Academia on Instagram and TikTok at True Crime in Academia and on Twitter at TC in Academia, because Twitter hates extra characters, as we all know. And as Andrew alluded to earlier, we have a Patreon, and True Crime in Academia has exclusive bonus episodes for subscribers. As a true crime enthusiast, I don't necessarily like to pigeonhole my true crime interests. So over on the Patreon, I cover some of the more high profile cases not related to academia, such as the murder of JonBenet Ramsey and the case of Casey Anthony. So if you want access to videos like that, go over to patreon.com/Ivory Tower Boiler Room and become a subscriber.
Thank you all for joining us. And here's to an amazing fall season.
Whoop,
Bye.
whoop.
Bye, everyone.